In a small village on the edge of the desert, where the sun scorched mercilessly and the cracked ground could barely sustain life, lived Leah, a young farmer. Her life was simple but monotonous. Each day, she woke before dawn to work on the small plot of land she had inherited from her family. The harvests were barely enough to survive, but it was all she knew. Leah had never left the village. The idea of facing the unknown terrified her. One day, a sandstorm, fiercer than anyone in the village had ever seen, swept through the area. When the wind finally calmed, Leah found her farmland destroyed. The few plants that had managed to survive the heat were now buried under layers of sand. The elders of the village declared that the soil was no longer fertile and that everyone had to leave before the water ran out completely. Leah didn't want to leave. She couldn't imagine life away from her home, but she knew that staying meant starving or dying of thirst. With tears in her eyes and a lump in her throat, she packed what little she had and joined a small group of villagers heading north in search of new lands. The journey was grueling. For days, they walked under a blazing sun, rationing water and battling exhaustion. Many gave up and returned to the village, but Leah, driven by a mix of fear and determination, pressed on. Deep down, she knew there was no turning back. When they finally reached a green valley surrounded by mountains and crystal-clear rivers, Leah felt hope for the first time in weeks. However, her relief was short-lived. The valley was already inhabited by an organized community that didn't accept outsiders unless they had specific skills to contribute. As a farmer, Leah lacked the advanced knowledge they sought. Her methods were outdated, and the community didn't see immediate value in her. Leah had to make a difficult choice: remain in the valley as an ignored outsider or prove that she could adapt. She chose the latter. Despite her insecurities, she approached the leader of the local farmers and asked to be taught new cultivation techniques. The answer was a resounding no, but Leah refused to give up. For weeks, she observed from a distance, mentally taking notes and experimenting on a small piece of land that had been assigned to her. First, she failed. The seeds didn't germinate, and the soil didn't respond as expected. But instead of giving up, she sought help from the other newcomers to the valley. They formed a small support group, sharing knowledge and resources. Leah learned how to irrigate using makeshift canals, fertilize with natural methods, and diversify her crops. Over time, her small plot began to thrive. The plants grew strong, and the group she had formed with the newcomers earned the respect of the community. When a pest outbreak threatened to destroy the valley's crops, Leah used her traditional methods combined with what she had learned to save much of the harvest. This act of ingenuity and perseverance changed how the community viewed her. Leah had not only found a new home, but had discovered that she was capable of much more than she had ever believed. The experience transformed her from a fearful young woman, reliant on the familiar, into a resilient and creative leader. Though the journey had been painful, Leah realized that stepping out of her comfort zone was necessary for growth. In time, she became a key figure in the valley, teaching others what she had learned and reminding them that, no matter how tough the circumstances, there is always a way to adapt and overcome.